How do you make your YouTube videos more interesting? Now in my world where everything is talking head, we're not making entertaining videos like Mr. Beast. There's a lot of things that we need to do to keep our audience's attention. When you look at the YouTube analytics, you can tell if people are engaged or not, and we found several things that you can do to make that happen. There's actually a ton that you could do. We're going to talk about things you can do before filming that will ensure your video is more entertaining. Then obviously things that you could do during filming and things you can do in the editing. All of this makes your video better. Now in other episodes, I've talked about having your episodes having a built-in audience. It's kind of like having marketing built into your episode. Now when you have a built-in audience, a group of people who want to watch this content, you can understand that that's kind of a game changer. So how do you do that? Well, I've talked about keyword research and finding the questions that people are asking. So when you follow that strategy that I've taught to you so many times, you find that leaf title, that 8, 9, or 10 word question, that becomes the title of your video. Now, how does that make your video more entertaining? Think about it from the perspective of the viewer. So let's just say, for example, the title of your video is how to increase productivity in a dental office. So if the dentist or if the receptionist were doing a search on Google and YouTube and they typed in that question, they wanted to increase their productivity in their office, they find your video and it says that exact title, how to increase productivity in a dental office. Of course, they're going to click on it. And they're going to watch it all the way to the end because it's so focused on them. So following the leaf strategy will make your videos more entertaining. Now I produce over 50 different YouTube channels, and so with all the different varieties of channels that we create, we come across some interesting topics, but there's some feedback that I get from my clients that's pretty common. They'll say, but that one sounds boring. I don't know that I want to talk about that. What do you do for boring topics? So in preparing for this video, I actually came up with 4 different ideas here. So the first idea I had is, what is a mortgage? I have several clients that teach about real estate investing. And so the thought of them answering the question, what is a mortgage? That sounds really boring to them. And they think, what am I going to talk about for 10 minutes? But first, I challenge them to think about the viewer. Like, who is the one asking this question? Is it going to be boring for them? So obviously this is somebody new to the real estate investing game. They don't know what a mortgage is. So it's going to be pretty easy to explain it to them, and you want to show interest in them even if it's a boring topic for you. So show interest in them and let them know what a mortgage is, and then think about what other things could you easily explain that that same person would also be interested in. And you could throw in there other things that you are more excited to talk about. So I could start out an episode like this and say, all right, in today's episode, we're talking about real estate investing, and we're going to cover several things. We're going to be answering the question, what is a mortgage? We're going to talk about the best type of real estate to invest in and what to do if you're a beginner, right? So I could pepper in other different types of questions that will make it more exciting for me to talk about. Now, when you do keyword research, this can actually be a help for you in this process. So when I typed in the question, what is a mortgage? Below that, there are other questions about mortgages. So it can give me other ideas. So maybe I want to talk about, will a personal loan affect my mortgage application? Or can I include spouse income on a mortgage application? Or can you include rental income on a mortgage application, right? So when you do the keyword research, you'll find the leaf title, and that will ensure that people are interested because that's what they're searching for. But you can find other ways that will make your content more full and will allow you to create a 10-minute episode. Okay, another challenge is, what if the question that you find in your research is wrong? Like, you disagree with it, right? So the question that they're asking, you don't want to answer because it's like, well, that's not how I feel. I actually challenge you on that one as well. That's actually going to make some of the most interesting and entertaining content because it shows your personality. It shows that you disagree, and it gives you a great opportunity to teach and maybe help somebody have a paradigm shift. So an example I thought of is, what if the question that you found is what to say during a cold call? But let's say you don't believe in cold calling. You think that you should get referrals and warm leads and not do any cold calling. So I'll just practice here and I'll give you a demonstration of what you might say at the beginning of a video like that. Welcome back. Today we're talking about sales calls, and specifically what to say during a cold call. Are cold calls the most effective? Are there any other alternatives to cold calling? Let's dive right in. And then as I jump into the content of that, I could answer the question and say, okay, if you're going to do cold calling, here's something I recommend saying at the beginning. But then you could quickly transition and say, but I have to admit, I don't cold call anymore. I actually hate cold calling, and I don't recommend you do it, and here's why. You probably want to set a hook and say, so while I'm bashing cold calling, I do have an alternate that actually works way better, and I'm going to dive into that next. All right, so you could get into the episode and really help people see your perspective. Like, you gave them an answer, this is what you say at the beginning of a cold call, but then you could turn the conversation to what you really want to talk about and the advice that you really want to share. Now, some viewers are going to like this and some are going to dislike this, right? They might give it a thumbs down or they might just leave, but if they're people that really want to learn cold calling and you don't like cold calling, well, that's not your target audience anyway. But many people that are searching for that, they're going to love you and they're going to love your perspective and they're going to want to follow you. All right, so let's get back to the topic of making your video more interesting. The number one thing that you can do to make your video more interesting is to deliver high value. We're talking about how-to content. We're answering people's questions. And so when they have that question, the more valuable your answer, the more entertaining the video will be to them. Now, don't hold back. You've got 10 or 12 minutes here to deliver the best value you can. And so if there are 6 tips that you can share, you don't want to just share 3 of them and tell them the other 3 are in a course. Like, just don't do that type of stuff. If you want to make your video more entertaining and if you want to have a better chance of them becoming a client, share all 6 of your tips in that episode. Okay, now we're going to talk about curiosity hooks, and I'm going to demonstrate this for you. Okay, what a curiosity hook is something that you can say at the beginning of your video to kind of hook or pique their curiosity. All right, so here's an example. Let's say my area of expertise were nutrition and things like that, and the video that I was filming was how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of what not to do, but then I'm going to change and give you an example where I said a whole bunch of curiosity hooks, and you tell me which will keep me more engaged. So here's the bad example. All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, we're going to need 3 ingredients. We need some fresh garlic, we need some raw honey, and we need some cayenne pepper. And if you mix those things and take that, it'll actually wipe out your strep throat. So let's talk about that. Okay, so that's what not to do. You might think that that was pretty good, but when I do the next example, you should be able to clearly see what the difference is. All right, as we dive into this topic of how to get rid of strep throat without antibiotics, first let's talk about why not antibiotics. And there might be some good reasons to consider an alternative. Then we're going to be talking about 3 ingredients. You probably have these in your kitchen, and we're going to be talking about each one, how each one is a natural antiviral and a natural antibacterial. We're going to go into the kitchen, we're going to make this, and we're going to talk about dosage. And then I'm going to wrap up this episode with a story of my son. When he was really young, he had a high fever and he had strep throat. So we used this remedy and he experienced a side effect that you'll probably want to know about. So let's dive right in. All right, so you see the difference there? All I did was give a table of contents, but I didn't give away the secret in that. I created curiosity instead. So I call that curiosity hooks. Once you know what you're going to be talking about in your video, you can then just let people know, hey, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to share this remedy, right? So this takes practice. So you want to practice setting curiosity hooks at the beginning of your video. It'll make them way more entertaining. Now that really does translate. I've coached clients that have had struggle keeping people's attention in the videos. Their retention rate or their average view duration was really low, and just by having them put in curiosity hooks drastically increased. I mean, we're talking doubling or tripling the retention on a video just by having curiosity hooks. Okay, I've got 3 more tips that can happen after the fact when you're editing the video. You can add B-roll. Okay, B-roll is footage that you filmed elsewhere, and you might still be talking in the video, and so they hear your voice, but it switches to another shot. So in real estate, if you're talking about one of the properties, while you're still talking, you then see footage of that property. And it can just be filmed on your phone. You don't have to worry about that footage being perfect. In fact, if it's too perfect, I think it backfires. Like if you buy stock footage that is clearly staged and they're clearly actors, I recommend against that. If you find stock footage that looks a lot less professional, I think that'll actually work a lot better. But if you can film it yourself, use footage from your own phone, that can really add to a video. It gives people something to look at and makes the video more entertaining. Now, when I tell my clients, yeah, shoot for 10 minutes as the average length for your videos, and sometimes they get through their content in like 5 minutes, but they want to know, like, what do I do? How can I make my video longer? Well, sometimes it's great just to cut the video short. So that might be the idea. Let's just go with a 5-minute video. But something else that you can do that actually really increases the engagement and the entertainment is to tell a story. So if you're sharing points, steps to take to get there to accomplish this goal, right? Share a story of the last time you did it, or somebody that you shared this with and how they implemented it, what was the result. And then one last piece of advice that I can share is it's great to use visuals. Like perhaps you want to set up a flip chart and you want to draw something out. Or you can show slides, like if there's something that you want to show or you have a screen capture on your computer, using visuals like that can help people understand and learn better, and it will increase the entertainment. Now I've got a gift for you, okay? I wrote a book. I published this earlier this year, but it took me 2 years to write. This is a book on how to leverage YouTube to generate leads in your business. And so if that's something that you want to do, I want to give you my book for free. Now you do need to pay the shipping cost, but as long as you cover that, this is my gift to you. Just go to natesyoutubebook.com. I know if you read this book, you'll really be able to do what I've done on over 50 different YouTube channels and really leverage YouTube to generate leads. I've helped channels produce 7 and 8 figures just from following this strategy. Enjoy.